Hello friends, the past week has been very eventful. Ever since the NDA government took the decision to change the provisions of Article 370 and remove Article 35A, effectively removing all the special status and special provisions provided to Jammu and Kashmir, social media has been abuzz with a lot of misinformation as well as truthful information. So as part of this, there were posts explaining what Article 370 meant before it was modified, and there were a long list of claims. So in this video, let us look at 13 different claims and how true they are. Let's start with the first one. The first one talks about people of Jammu and Kashmir before Article 370 was modified had dual citizenship. Let's see how true it is. It's actually true that Jammu and Kashmir, because of Article 370, had a separate constitution for the state. So in the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, people are defined as permanent residents. So along with Article 370, read with Jammu and Kashmir's constitution, along with Article 35A, actually define who are permanent residents. And these permanent residents get some special rights with respect to buying land and various other things. So it is true that there are permanent residents. But at the same time, it is not true that they are called as citizens. In fact, in the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, there is no mention of citizens. They are still Indian citizens, they hold an Indian passport. But what is different with people of Jammu and Kashmir compared to other states is they are treated as permanent residents of J&K subject to specific conditions. So this entire bogey saying there is dual citizenship for people of Jammu and Kashmir is not entirely true. It is not dual citizenship. It is only a special provision provided to them and they are treated as permanent residents. So this claim is not entirely true. Let's come to the second one. The second one talks about Jammu and Kashmir as a state having a different flag. Yes, Jammu and Kashmir indeed has a different flag because it has a different constitution and a special state and had a special status as per Article 370. It had a different flag. In fact, on the secretariat and other official functions where dignitaries from Jammu and Kashmir used to participate, you actually see two flags. One, the state flag, one, the flag of India. So this claim is actually true. Let's come to the third one. The third claim talks about the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, Legislative Assembly, has a tenure of 6 years, whereas all other assemblies across the country have a tenure of 5 years. It is absolutely true because, again, because of Article 370 and the separate constitution, Jammu and Kashmir Assembly did have a tenure of 6 years, whereas all the other state assemblies have a tenure of 5 years. So even this claim is also true. The next claim is that if somebody in Jammu and Kashmir disrespects the Indian flag and other national symbols, it is not a crime. Now let us look at how true it is. In fact, there is a specific act in India which is called Prevention of Insult to National Symbols and Flag and the National Flag Code of 2002. As per this, there are certain penalties and punishment stipulated for those who actually dishonor the national symbols, including the national flag. But please understand, this particular act, which is applicable across India, is also applicable in Jammu and Kashmir because there is no exception given to in Jammu and Kashmir. That's the first point. Point number two is Jammu and Kashmir as a state, the Legislative Assembly can choose, previously can choose to whatever central government legislations they want to be applied in Jammu and Kashmir, they can choose. So if you look at the document which specifies what all central legislations are applicable to Jammu and Kashmir, even in that, the 1971 Act, which is about prevention of national symbols in India, is also part of the Jammu and Kashmir, so which means it is applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. So this claim that even if you disrespect the national flag in Jammu and Kashmir, it will not be a crime is absolutely false. Let's come to the next claim. The next claim says the Supreme Court of India has no jurisdiction in J&K. In other words, it is as good as saying no Supreme Court judgment is applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. Again, let's go back and look at this claim. In fact, as per the Constitutional Application Order of 1954, along with the Presidential Order, the jurisdiction of Supreme Court was actually extended to Jammu and Kashmir. And this can be very clearly seen on the Jammu and Kashmir High Court's website. This is one part. The other part is whenever, let's say, the Supreme Court of India delivers a judgment regarding anything related to the Indian Penal Code, for instance, if you take the Section 377, which was declared illegal by the Supreme Court or unconstitutional, this change wouldn't directly be applicable to J&K because J&K follows a different penal code called the Ranbir Penal Code, RPC. Just for that, apart from this difference, there is absolutely no other difference in terms of how the applicability of Supreme Court judgments is. So it is actually false to say Supreme Court judgments are not applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. They are applicable, but only in cases where the Supreme Court judgment alters a section of the IPC. They are not directly applicable. The relevant changes have to be made in the RPC. So this claim is also false. The next claim is any woman of Jammu and Kashmir actually loses her residency rights if she marries somebody from outside J&K. Let's see how true it is. In fact, originally, as per the constitution of J&K, as per the orders of the Maharaja Hari Singh in 1927, it is true that if any woman of Jammu and Kashmir marries somebody from outside Jammu and Kashmir, she automatically loses her residency rights. This was actually considered to be very patriarchal and uh, not benefiting women, and actually it was treated as anti-women. So this was challenged in the Jammu and Kashmir High Court in 2002, which actually delivered a landmark judgment in that same year. So in 2002, the Jammu and Kashmir High Court very clearly stated that if any woman who is a permanent resident of Jammu and Kashmir actually marries somebody from outside the state, she does not lose her permanent residency rights. This was categorically stated by the High Court. In fact, after this judgment, a lot of political parties in Jammu and Kashmir which wanted these rights to be sacrosanct and not to be changed by the High Court tried to reverse this High Court judgment through a bill. So they tried a lot, but they couldn't pass it. So it was put in cold storage. So as it stands, as per the High Court judgment, it is false that a Jammu and Kashmir woman who marries somebody from outside the state does not lose her permanent residency rights. But we have to keep in mind that she does not lose her residency rights, but her spouse, that means the man who she is marrying, and her children do lose residency rights. So they don't have any residency rights. But to say that Jammu and Kashmir woman loses her residency rights is actually false. Now the next claim is also slightly related to this claim. The next claim says any Pakistani who marries a woman from Jammu and Kashmir automatically becomes a citizen of Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, like we have earlier seen, there is no concept of citizenship in the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. So this itself is false, and it falls flat on its face. But let us look at it. In fact, when Maharaja Hari Singh, who was the ruler of Jammu and Kashmir before its accession to India, 1927, has given an order which says any woman, marries any woman from outside, marries a state subject. When I say state subject, somebody who has permanent residency rights in Jammu and Kashmir, she automatically gains permanent residency rights. But it does not talk about the reverse. What is the reverse? Any man who marries a woman from Jammu and Kashmir getting residency rights. In fact, this was used in what we discussed in the earlier claim about women being discriminated against. So this to say that anybody from Pakistan who marries a woman from Jammu and Kashmir becomes a citizen of Jammu and Kashmir is patently false. In fact, there is no concept of citizenship. They don't even get residency rights. Only the woman who is a permanent resident of Jammu and Kashmir does have her residency rights. She will not lose them, but the spouse will not have any residency rights, leave alone citizenship. So even this claim is false. The next claim is acts like the Right to Information Act is not applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. It is true that the central legislation of right to information is not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir because it had the special status, but there was a state-specific right to information act enacted in the Jammu and Kashmir state in the year 2009. So not only the state had its own right to information, in fact all central government offices within the state boundaries of Jammu and Kashmir were subject to the Central Act. But to say that the state did not even have right to information is actually a misleading statement. The next claim says the Comptroller and Auditor General or the CAG's audits are not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. So in other words, the accounts of the Jammu and Kashmir state is not scrutinized by anybody. Let's look at how true it is. In fact, in 1958, as per the Accountant General of Jammu and Kashmir's website, the jurisdiction of the Comptroller and Auditor General, or commonly known as the CAG, was actually extended to Jammu and Kashmir. So in 1958 itself, this was done. So in other words, all the accounts related to departments, etc. of Jammu and Kashmir are audited by the CAG and also tabled in the assembly like any other state. In fact, if you go to the CAG website, you will find a lot of reports related to Jammu and Kashmir. So this claim is also completely false. The next claim is Kashmir forces Sharia law on all its citizens and especially women. Let us look at this claim. It is in fact true that in 2007 a Sharia law was passed by the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, but please remember these laws are only applicable in civil cases. So they are not applicable, their applicability or jurisdiction does not extend to criminal cases. So this claim is partially true. Let's come to the next claim. It says panchayats in Kashmir do not have any kind of rights. Let us look at how true it is. In fact, as per the 73rd constitutional amendment, the local bodies or rural local bodies or panchayats they need to have been devolved around 29 subjects in most other states. So this is the 73rd constitutional amendment. Even after 26 years, it is true that Kashmir panchayats did not have any powers, but in 2018, an amendment act was passed which actually gave a lot of rights to panchayats. In fact, in a very recently released press release of the Government of India after governor's rule was imposed, you can see that a host of powers were given to the panchayats. After those powers were given and after the amendment act was passed, recently in Kashmir, panchayat elections were also held. But to say that Jammu and Kashmir panchayats now don't hold any power is false. It used to be the case, but after 2018 that is not the case. So this is actually a misleading claim. Yeah, the next claim is Hindus, Sikhs, Jains and other minorities in Jammu and Kashmir do not actually get their 16% reservation. Let's see how true it is. Now in the constitution, there is no concept of reservation on religious lines. So the constitution does not even recognize reservation on religious lines. But there are some states where the state governments tried giving reservations on religious lines. For example, the Telangana government tried giving 12% to the Muslims and few other states. And when the central government in 2011, when the OBC reservation was extended to 27%, they said out of 27, 4.5% will be given for minorities. But this is challenged in the Supreme Court. There is no further information available. So we can't really say whether this claim is true or false. So it remains unverified. Let's come to the last claim. The last claim talks about anybody outside Kashmir, it means Indians who are not permanent residents of Kashmir, cannot buy any land in Kashmir. Let's see how true it is. As per Article 35A, like we discussed earlier, this defines, and in conjunction with the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, there is a category defined as permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir. It is true that only permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir can buy land and acquire property in Kashmir, and anybody who is not a permanent resident cannot acquire property. But please remember, Kashmiris are also Indians, so they can buy property, but only those Indians who are not permanent residents of J&K cannot acquire property. So this claim is true. But it also has to be remembered there are many other areas in this country where restrictions exist on acquisition of property. For instance, in scheduled areas, the 1 of 70 law and the 5th schedule, outsiders cannot buy lands. Same is the case with some other states like Himachal, where certain restrictions exist, some of the northeastern states. So Jammu and Kashmir is not the only state where there are such restrictions. There are many other states where restrictions exist in parts. So this claim that Indians who are not permanent residents of J&K cannot buy land is actually true. So as you have seen, so there are 13 different claims, some of which are true, some of which are false. But because it has been an eventful week, so a lot of people have been sharing as if all this is true. So if you come across such viral fake news, please don't believe. Secondly, it is not just about Article 370. Ever since this news broke, there are a lot of misinformation videos, old pictures of events in Kashmir and outside Kashmir being shared as something that is happening in Kashmir. Some very violent videos, some protests, etc. Please don't believe them. Please do check fact-checking websites like ours. Please write to us or send a claim to our number which is mentioned in the video to cross-check if this is true. These are very troubling times because violence can easily break out. Please be careful while you are forwarding any message. Cross-check twice and see if it is true or false. Thank you.
Subscribe to Factly and hit the bell icon for updates.